Good morning, Fayed. Good morning, Wanji. Yeah, we are back again to the classroom. We are going to continue with our lessons this morning. And as usual, I will advise you to pay a lot of attention, listen to the explanations, so that at the end you get a good grasp of the lesson. So I will be inviting you, therefore, to the lesson that will begin very soon. Our lesson this morning will be on road transport, and we will do it in two stages. We will look at the means, types, and documents that are used in road transport. And then finally, we will look at the ownership of road transport with its associated advantages and disadvantages. So we are on the first one, the means, types, and documents of road transport. By road transport, we are looking at the means that connect one place to another, or that can transfer people and goods from one place to another on the surface of land. So road transport is widely used because of three important things. The first one is accessibility. It can link one place to another one with relative ease, and it is cheap to transport goods and persons from one place to another, and it is flexible. It is not disturbed by obstacles like other forms of transport. Then, looking at the means of road transport, you can ask yourself, what are the things that move people and things around town? We'll be thinking of bicycles. We'll be thinking of motorbikes, what is popularly known as Okada in town. We'll be thinking of vans. You will know what vans are. Vans are vehicles that have been designed to carry goods for some firms and distribute to the customers. They are made in such a way that it is difficult to get behind and maybe steal what is there. Then you have carts, you have cars, you have buses, you have trucks, big vehicles that carry things like sand, carry luggage, and any other bulky thing that you can think about. And then trailers carry more heavier things than trucks. They have trailers that carry wood that is used in making paper in our factories. Then the types of routes in our country are usually classified as national routes, and national routes are those routes that link one region of the country to another, like linking the center region to the northwest region, linking the northwest region to the southwest region. Those are what we call national routes. Then the next category of routes is regional routes. And regional routes are those routes that link divisional headquarters or link divisions within the region. So you know the different divisions that are in the different regions. Those routes that link the different divisions of the different regions are known as regional routes. Then commodity routes are those routes that link divisional headquarters to surrounding administrative areas. There are subdivisions in divisions, so those divisions, the divisions link to the subdivisions through what we call community routes. And inside the divisions and subdivisions, you will have some of the routes taking people to the farms, or we call them farm to market routes. All of them fall under what we call community routes. Then lastly, the documents that are used by those who use road transport. Of course, those who are driving, they will need the driver's license, they call it transporter's license. Then they will need to show proof that they have paid what we call park fees, where the government makes its revenue. Then there is the windscreen license. Then the the motor insurance policy. Then there's also an attestation of registration of the vehicle, what is popularly known as vignette, to prove that the car is owned by the person who is driving it. Then there's the national identity card of transporter, and so on and so on. So those are the documents that those who are using road transport are expected to show to the authorities in case of control. We move to the second part of this lesson, which is going to examine the ownership of road transport. And we have two ways of looking at it. The first one, we have people who are private users. They have bought vehicles, they have bought motorbikes for their private use. Then you can have those who have bought vehicles or bikes for commercial purposes. They want to make money out of the road transport system that they have acquired. Another way, a business could buy and own a road transport means, or it could be hired. So when a business buys a transport means, it means it will be carrying its goods from one place to another, carrying its workers, anything that they need to transfer from one place to another will be done in the transport means that has been bought by the business. When it is hired, it means they will be paying somebody, they will be paying a person who has the means to do it for them. So our interest is to know the advantages and disadvantages of using any of the means to transport goods, services, and persons from one place to another. We'll be looking at the advantages of a business having its own transport means. As a businessman, you should know this so that you take the right decision when the time comes. And the first of such an advantage is the fact that products can be delivered immediately production is completed, because you don't have to ask some other person to come and do it for you. You can distribute the goods immediately you are through with their production. Then the second advantage is the fact that goods can be advertised on the side of the vehicle. You have seen brasseries vehicles that move to distribute brasseries drinks, having some advert on them. That can only be done if the vehicle is owned by the brewery company. The third advantage is the fact that delivery can be supervised to avoid poor handling of goods. When a business hires somebody to carry goods from one place to another, there is no guarantee that the goods will be properly handled. So when it's done by the business itself, that is assured. Then the vehicle can be used for business while in transit. If you take your business vehicle and you are carrying your goods to one part of the town or to one part of the country, and it is not fully used, you can carry somebody's goods on it and make money. That is the advantage of using your own vehicle. Then the next point is the fact that pilferage can be avoided by using containers. So if you use your own vehicles, you can make it in such a way that it has containers that can not easily be broken into. When that is done, it will be difficult for people to steal from those containers. We call that kind of stealing pilferage. Then the next advantage is the fact that the vehicle can be designed to ease loading and offloading. If you have been very vigilant in town, you must have noticed that brasseries vehicles are made in such a way that it's very easy to load them with crates of beer, and it's also very easy to offload them. Examples of that are many in town. If you have your eyes open, I leave that one as an assignment. You will give me that in class. Then, if there is a strike action by other transporters, your business may not be affected. So if other transporters have decided not to transport goods and you have your own means of transport, you can use your own means of transport to make sure that your goods reach the customers. The next point, drivers can take better care of goods since they are employees. The drivers of your vehicles are people you have employed to work for you. and you can give them that additional responsibility to take care of the goods during transit. The next point, the firm can have proper control of its sales. At times, certain businesses are not able to sell because the hired distributor is not doing it the right way. But if you have your own means of transport, you can make sure that the outlets get supplies at the time that they need the supplies. Then last but not the least, little time is wasted because the transport means is readily available. When a business has its transport means, the means will be packed in front of the vehicle most of the time, in front of the business premises most of the time. And so when it is time for it to take the goods to the destinations, it does not waste too much time as when the transport means is hired. You have seen the so many advantages of a business owning its own transport means. Let's find out whether there are disadvantages. Of course, there will be disadvantages. It will be difficult for a firm or for a means to have only advantages without disadvantages. And the disadvantages are: one, there will be increased cost. One, in running the business, the transport means, what we call running expenses. The driver will have to be paid, so the driver's wage will be there. You have to pay insurance to have the vehicle moving. That will increase cost to the business. Then the second thing is the fact that investment in fixed asset will have to increase. Fixed assets are assets that do not change during production. And when you do much investment in fixed assets, you tie your capital in those fixed assets. So when you buy your own transport means, you are going to have increased investment in fixed assets, and then you may not have enough money to run the business with. Then last but not the least is the fact that there is that increased risk of theft of the transport means. Once a business has a transport means, it could be a motorbike, it could be a distributing van, there's that risk that thieves can steal it at any one time. Then we will look at the other side of it now, the case of a business hiring a road transport means. We'll look at the advantages of it. What are the advantages if the business were to do that? The first one will be that the cost associated with running expenses can be avoided. We have indicated that when you have your own transport means, you have to buy fuel, you have to maintain, you have to pay driver's wage, you have to pay insurance. If you are hiring the transport means from a different person, then that kind of cost associated with running the transport means could be avoided. Then the next advantage when you hire a transport means from another person will be that the funds for the purchase of the transport means can be invested in more profitable areas in the business. I have indicated earlier that when you invest much in fixed assets, you have to tie funds that can be used profitably in the business in fixed assets. So when you decide to hire the transport means from another person, now those funds can be available for more profitable investment in the business. Then the next advantage is the fact that risks associated with the ownership of such an asset, like the risk of theft, the risk of fire, the risk of accident, will all be avoided. Next, the business can end the contract at any time to free itself of the asset becoming obsolete. When you buy a transport means and it belongs to you, it becomes difficult for you to avoid using it until it becomes obsolete. You want to sell the second-hand asset, there's no guarantee that it will be bought. But if you were hiring from somebody, you could stop the contract and then avoid the situation where the asset could become obsolete while in use by your business. Then last but not the least is the fact that the income generated by the hired asset can be used to pay for the cost of hiring that asset. When you hire a transport means and you are doing business with it, definitely is going to make you earn additional profits, and the additional profits could now be used to pay for the cost of hiring that transport asset. The disadvantages of hiring a transport means are: the first, there will be less possibility for the business to advertise its goods on the side of the hired vehicle. So we have said that when you look at transport means that are owned by the business itself, like the transport means owned by brasseries in Cameroon, transport means that are owned by some of these firms that are producing and selling water, you will see advertisement on them. So when you hire from some other person, it becomes difficult for you to do the advertisement on them. The second is the fact that deliveries may be delayed. So when a transportman is hired, it will not be at your disposal. So you will have to give orders for it to come, and that may bring about delays in delivery. Then delivery schedule may not be flexible. May not be flexible in the sense that you have to depend on the plan, on the program of the person from whom you are hiring the transport means to do the transportation of the goods to wherever you want to sell them. And last but not the least, the business will not benefit from any guarantee or warranties offered by the manufacturers. The manufacturers at times give the buyers of a product a guarantee, a period during which, if the equipment or the transport were to develop a problem, they could replace it, or you could have some kind of compensation. When you hire from a different person, then those advantages are lost. We have come to the end of our lesson this morning, but we have to remind ourselves of the main things of this lesson. When studying road transport, you have to remember meaning, the means, types, and documentation used. Then secondly, ownership of the transport means with the advantages and the disadvantages associated with the different types of ownership. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be giving you some assignment. When you go on your own, you read the textbook chapter 8 to get more details, and then you do the assignment that you have on the board. You will state 10 advantages and 8 disadvantages of road transport. Try as much as possible to put the advantages and disadvantages in your own words. Don't go and uplift material from the book and give to the teacher. That will prove that you have understood the lesson.